Turn this up. Turn this up.
Your professional development is one of the keys to your career success. When you combine your desire to grow with actionable steps, your journey to success becomes an incredible reality.
Hi, I'm Paul Faronbi, aka IncrediPaul, and welcome to IncrediPaul Leadership, where we learn how to become the most incredible versions of ourselves by learning from each other. First off, if you're only listening to this episode, I want you to know that you can also watch it on YouTube. But regardless if you're listening or watching the show, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot because a lot of times I don't know who's listening to the show or watching the show until they come up to me or leave a comment, send an email on socials, whatever it is. And if you never do that, just to know that you're there behind the screen, behind the audio, listening to it, it means a whole lot. So for those of you who are newer to the show, it kind of is threefold in the sense that I have guests on the show where there are leadership experts talking about specific leadership traits, tips, all of those things. And I also have STEM experts. So the whole thing behind IncrediPaul is empowering young professionals in STEM to become the most incredible versions of themselves. So I have leadership experts, I have STEM experts, and I also have myself talking about things in the leadership realm as well. I don't know why I lost my train of thought there for a second. So I'm a Maxwell Leadership Certified member. So those of you who are not aware, John Maxwell really being the foremost authority in leadership, been doing it over 40 plus years, and I am certified through him through training and speaking. So what I'm going to do in the episodes going forward is do more solo episodes, really diving into my expertise in leadership. So I have leadership experts, I have STEM experts on here. I talk with them, we have great conversations, but I also want to dive into specific things and share my insight as well. So if you've been listening or watching for a while, you know I offer coaching, and it's been hit or miss. Sometimes I'm more focused into it, sometimes I'm not. Really being more intentional about doing more stuff in the coaching and speaking realm in the next several months and in the coming years strategically. So with that, I think it's important that I share more solo episodes so you can really understand the insights I have as opposed to me just talking to different experts. Because as far as the hours are concerned, I am an expert myself, but I think even the term expert is misleading because just because you're an expert or something doesn't mean you're not continually learning. I consider myself a lifelong learner, as we all should be, but at the same time, I want to show what I have been learning, impart that with you, and just continue on this journey and becoming the most incredible versions of ourselves. So with that, this episode is actually talking about rest. And I have an acrostic for rest that I'll get into about what that really means and what rest brings you. But before I get into that, I wanted you to make sure if this is your first episode or maybe first episode in a while, we don't know a lot about me, what qualifies me to talk about rest? Like, how could I be a busy person with all the stuff I do with podcasting? That is just one aspect of what I do. So you see the podcast, you see IncrediPaul. I have some merch on Be Incredible's t-shirt for those of you who are listening. But IncrediPaul is one part of it. I mentioned empowering young professionals in STEM become the most incredible version of themselves, where that's podcasting. I told you being more intentional about speaking and coaching. So even with speaking, like really over the last couple of years, on average, traveling about 6 times a year, if not more, to do speaking stuff in person and do stuff virtually as well, and doing coaching. My coaching primarily consists of career coaching and leadership coaching, but then occasionally people reach out about podcasting, did about coaching, and even more recently, people ask me stuff about working out and fitness, which I'm not a fitness coach by any means, but I do stay in shape myself, and people ask me questions so I can answer it. But the main thing with coaching is that it's really about the coaching relationship and about really asking deep, meaningful questions. So if you've ever taken a coaching course, you understand that a lot of times it's easier to coach someone when you don't know their area as well, because all you're doing is unlocking the potential within the client, the person, whatever. But regardless, I focus it on leadership and career coaching. That's my expertise. but people ask about other stuff, happy to provide that. The other thing I do is I also have a nonprofit. I lead NALA the National Alliance leading the acceleration of science, technology, engineering, and math. So our mission is to unite, support, and build community among all historically excluded peoples in STEM. So we are partnered and work with colleges and universities really across the nation, from the Northwest to the South to the Northeast. And a lot of it comes from universities that have partnered with the National Science Foundation. A lot has been coming from that. A lot of changes have been happening. We're in the middle of planning conferences and stuff for later this year and next year. So super exciting time, keeps me busy. And on top of it all, if that wasn't enough things I mentioned, I also work full time as a research and development process engineer. Specifically, I'm a senior engineer in that realm. And it's interesting because I know there's a lot of people that I work with actually listen to this show. They've told me to listen to it, that they enjoy it. So I really shout out to them for all the people that listen that I work with. I really appreciate your support. Just know every time you let me know that, it means a whole lot to hear that, and just to know that I'm not just talking to myself, because anyone who's podcasting, unless there's a guest, sometimes you can just feel like you're talking to yourself. So those are the things that I do. And there's other stuff I do, but those like more so on the work side. I mean, I work out pretty regularly as well, 4 to 5 times a week. With that, understanding that rest is so important. And I think I've definitely learned that more over the last year plus, with last year with the transition into working, and then now living life single now. So understanding that as a single person, like I have a tendency to just go down rabbit holes and just do things, but I need to make sure that I am resting as well. So with that, I recently did something more spontaneous, at least for me, as far as resting. So it was my birthday weekend, and I decided I wanted to go somewhere. Well, I knew I wanted to go somewhere. I didn't decide where I was going to go until 2 weeks before. Don't recommend that, but I did it anyway. I purposely picked a place where I thought I didn't know anyone, but I guess that's like I ended up finding out that I knew someone there, but I didn't tell anyone I was coming. It was really just more so to relax. I went to San Diego just to get an Airbnb there, chill on the beach, and honestly do nothing. Experience the good weather, eat great food, interact with different people there, but not to do any work. I'm not completely being honest. I plan to do some work, but then I did end up doing it, which was great. And in the end, I actually was able to connect with someone that I hadn't seen in 10 years. So someone from college I hadn't seen, just randomly, just found out that they lived in the area, made plans to meet up, caught up over a few hours, and it was just really cool to be able to do that. And because I had nothing planned and I was just going with the flow, I was able to do that, reconnect with a friend, and you just never know what people are going through. Cause I know for myself, like I've mentioned on the podcast, like all the transitions and stuff that happened last year, like with ending the marriage and now being single, and then just understanding that life is transient. There's so many things going on, but sometimes it's just important to, if you can, take a break from everything and just relax. So San Diego was relaxing for me. It is everything I need for relaxation, which is just the water and the waves. And for me, it's more so just looking at the waves and the water. I can put my feet in there, but I'm not much of a swimmer. So that was something I was able to do. And honestly, it's funny because a lot of times when people meet me or talk with me, they are surprised to hear that I consider myself an introvert. And I would say that I'm an undercover introvert, or I'm an introvert with extroverted tendencies. So the correct term for it is actually an ambivert, because I'm actually in the middle of things. So I'm in the middle, more introvert leaning. But what that means is that I recharge by myself. So even in this whole realm of when I went to San Diego, I did a little bit too much, because I went from San Diego to like a work trip to Texas, to came back for like a night to Nashville, to did a conference trip for the nonprofit to University of Kansas. And then even in all those transitions, I was connecting or reconnecting with different people. So you might say, okay, Paul, when did you rest? When you're talking about rest, when did you rest? The rest happened when I was in San Diego. And there's 4 things that rest gives you that I want to talk about. The first one is time to reflect, reflection time. I was talking to someone the other day about this, and I think the key thing to growth and to make sure that you don't get stuck in the same place consistently is to reflect more often. A lot of times we continue to do the same things, the same habits, get the same results because we don't take the time to slow down and reflect. And that was something I was able to do. I reflected over the time that I was in San Diego about, okay, what am I doing with IncrediPaul? What I want to do going forward? How are things going to change? What stays the same? And more to come on that. Part of it is doing more solo episodes, and there's other things that you'll see as the time progresses. The second thing is it enhances your creativity. When you actually create time for margin, mind has more opportunity to explore different things, explore different ideas, different concepts. And then the next thing is start something new. So if you didn't already notice, I said it's time to rest. And the first one was R, reflect, was E, enhance your creativity, and S. The next one is S, start something new. So when you rest, you're hitting pause on things. Whatever you were doing before, you're not doing them. You can always come back to them, but there's also an opportunity to start something new. And for me, it's not necessarily something new. It's new in a sense, but I guess being more intentional about some of the stuff I've done with IncrediPaul Intuition. So if you haven't seen that, that's more so on social media, primarily on Instagram and TikTok. I'll share out short videos, like a minute plus, usually less than a minute, of different things that I'm learning. I want to be more intentional about sharing that in addition to what I'm doing with the podcast. Some of it will be excerpts on the podcast, but I also want to be intentional about sharing specific, short, bite-sized things that are meaningful and stories for myself. Lord knows there's so many random stories, random occurrences that have happened in my life, and my friends know that, and I consider you all my friends as well. And so you'll get to join me on that journey as I share about it. So last one is time. So I had reflect, enhance, start, and time. So time, I think, related more to the margin piece. A lot of times the secret to doing more is actually doing less. So like the Pareto principle, if you will, if you ever heard that, like the 80-20 rule. So focusing on the things that matter the most. So when you rest, you have to dedicate some time, and then you're able to be more productive. But keep in mind that you don't have to rest just to be productive. Resting is just good for your body as well. Even when you're working out, they tell you to have rest days. You can't just keep going. You need time to decompress. You don't want to get burnt out. You don't want to get in a place that you're just your whole body is shutting down, that you're tired, you're irritable, all these different things. So that's just a short thing there about, I guess, short teaching, if you will, on rest, whether it's reflection, enhancing your creativity, trying something new, and just the time piece, more like prioritization piece. So that was it. I'm trying to keep these pretty short, about to 15 minutes or less for these solo episodes. But if you have any specific things that you are wanting me to talk about, or maybe stuff from my story you want to hear, that's what these shorter episodes, solo episodes, are going to be about. But thank you for joining me on this journey that has been over 5 years in the making. It continues to change and evolve, but I'm excited for it. And I hope you are too. And I hope that you keep being incredible.
Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you here next time. And be incredible.